Good day. Welcome to Today we'll talk about actions and tool use for actions, agents, and assistants. What you see on the screen here is a figure from my book that represents the essential components of an agent, if you will. Starting from the top here of actions and tool use, which is what we'll be covering today, to profiles and personas, what it is or how we describe an agent or an assistant, be it instructions, giving it personality, etc., to memory and knowledge using retrieval, a lot of people are quite comfortable with and using right now, planning and feedback, and reasoning and evaluation. These three components, actions, reasoning, evaluation, and planning and feedback, all tie fairly tightly together. We'll get into later sessions discussing planning and feedback, but for today, we'll just focus on action. Actions are essentially the tools or the pieces an agent needs to use to externally complete a task or undertake some sort of goal, if you will. Because what we want an agent to be able to do is to plan itself over a number of tasks and either execute those tasks sequentially or in some sort of combination of them. So what is an action? An action is a tool or a function an agent can call to complete tasks. Actions can do everything from search Wikipedia to create images, create videos, run code, all sorts of things. It can be very simple or very complex. In Nexus and the GPT Assistants Playground, both projects I developed for my book AI Agents in Action, this is an example on the right side here that shows various actions or functions, if you will, that are described in Python, but the thing that makes them an action or an agent action that's available within Nexus or the GPT Assistants Playground is this decorator on top here called the agent action. Underneath the scenes, both tools will handle everything else that needs to take place. The only thing you need to do is define this action or write this function, if you will. And in many cases, I just get ChatGPT to write the function for me. And I have written or had ChatGPT write several actions for me already. Okay, so we can't really talk about actions without talking about planning. Planning is the ability for an agent or assistant execute multiple tasks and feeding the output from one task as the input into another task. The OpenAI Assistants API has a built-in planner that allows the assistants to plan out a number of actions. We'll see that in the demo coming up versus your typical ChatGPT LLM, which can execute an action, but then it can't really go any farther. It can't feed the output of that action into another action. And that's where planning comes. I set a whole nother video on what planning is and how it works and how the various implementations of planning work. For now, let's get into the demo and show you how a LLM like ChatGPT or a model like GPT-4o can execute actions on its own, or the OpenAI assistant can execute actions. So be sure to check out the demo. Okay, today we're looking at actions for agents and assistant. What I've opened here is Nexus. Nexus is the agent platform I developed for my book, Agents in Action, and we'll do a comparison with the GPT Assistants Playground. GPT Assistants uses the OpenAI Assistants API backend, and both platforms, or both tools, if you will, use sort of a playground interface. And I call it a playground interface because OpenAI has this playground interface that allows you to choose or select different agents or set your model settings, etc. So it's kind of follows the same sort of theme, if you will. So we'll start with Nexus. And what I'm doing here is I'm just choosing a simple agent. I have a number of sort of sample agents that I've been running and playing with. We're just going to keep the instructions blank, plain, nothing. I am going to choose the OpenAI agent engine. So that essentially allows me to use OpenAI's Python client API, if you will. Nexus supports Grok Labs, and Anthropic and Azure OpenAI. I just don't have Azure set up or connected right now. As I said, the engine settings allow you to determine which model you're using. For this example, we'll just use GPT-4o, which is the sort of more or less the current standard. And for actions, within Nexus, there's a number of actions you can choose. The Assistants Playground provides many more actions. In this particular case, we're just going to be looking at save file, search Wikipedia, and get Wikipedia page. You always want to keep or limit the number of actions you give an agent to just what they need. Don't go overboard and give the agent all actions. And the reason for that is the token limit on the number of action sort of descriptions and information you can provide. So you'll be going above that token limit. It also makes sense that you don't give an agent too many actions that it can go rogue and do things it shouldn't be doing. I've had that happen many times. Sometimes very amusing, sometimes very frustrating. So let's just go through an example. And I'm going to say, because we have our three actions of search Wikipedia and save to a file, I'm going to say search Wikipedia pages on calorie which is the city I live in, and download all the page results to a file called Wikipedia_Calgary.txt. Copy this so we can use it for later as a comparison. And let's just run it and see what happens. I've got to create a thread. So what I need to do for Nexus, I have to have a conversation thread going. So I just created a thread and then we'll run it. As it's running, we can take a look at its progress. It finished pretty quickly. I can go to the logs and I can see, in fact, it called the function search Wikipedia with the args Calgary, and this is the response it came back. So it's come back with all the pages. It called the first function. What happened is it just stopped. Okay, so it's able to use the action in one step or as a set of steps. So let's make a comparison now between the output of this. What we're seeing here is just one action being completed. So let's go back to the GPT Assistant Playground. What I'm going to do here is just choose a test assistant. You can see that I use this extensively for a lot of things. And the reason because is that Assistants actually supports a little more planning. I talked about the necessity of planning. Planning will allow agents to coordinate actions or tool use either sequentially or in series or in some sort of format that makes it a lot more efficient. So let me just show you what I mean by that. Okay, so we're just going to choose the test assistant. Again, I'm going to leave the instructions blank. This is the OpenAI Assistants, but it's using the GPT-4o model. The same model settings, and again, the actions, save file, search Wikipedia, get Wikipedia page. You can see I have a lot more actions for the assistants, and it's just a matter of converting those actions over to Next. As an example, with the ability for the actions within the assistants and sort of the planning and reason capability of it being able to use the actions, I've extended a number of assistants to do everything from creating the PowerPoint presentation that you see at the start of this video to creating blog posts, to writing code, to writing games. It really is endless to what you can do. So let's just copy and paste our little goal. I don't have to start a thread in the assistants because the assistant always needs a thread to talk on. The thread management with the assistants platform, I think, needs to be developed by OpenAI to be more useful and allow you to manage your own threads, which isn't possible right now. So let's go through and just try this. So what we're doing is Wikipedia for pages, downloading results to a file. I'll go to the logs. And so what you can see is not only has the assistant gone through and found those pages, what it's actually doing now is going through and downloading the content for each of those pages, and it's going to save it to a file for it, okay? We can't see what the logs because it just gets too much, but you can see here, so it's action saving file, so it's now saving the file, naming the file Wikipedia Calgary as we've been instructed to do, and it's downloaded and saved all the content. So let's go back, and it's telling us it's downloaded everything into Wikipedia Calgary.txt. We can open that file up. It's a whole bunch of summarizations on things about Calgary. We didn't even tell it to summarize. It just went ahead and did it. You can do a number of things, a number of cool things with action. For example, let's switch to a video editing assistant, which is one of my favorites for sort of demonstrating things. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to say, okay, let's now create an image of a scary monster and then make a video zooming in on its face. We'll go back to the logs, and in a few seconds it probably should be dumping some stuff out here. So we've essentially done a few things. We're asking it to create an image, so it's going to have to call a function that allows it to create images, or an action if you will, of a scary monster, and then it's going to make a video. So in the assistance platform I have tools that allow it to convert images into videos. Nothing fancy like Luna Dream Machine, but it can make a video like zooming in on the image or any manner of things. Let's just look at this. Here's our video. I'll play it, and there we go. So it's created the picture for us, and then it's created the video and the animation of zooming in. And we can go a step further here, and I can say, now make this a GIF. And I've shown this before, but I think this is a really good demonstration of just showing the abilities for action. And this is assistant has all these actions that allow us to do these. Again, you want to limit the number of actions that you give any assistant, just because of token limits on the number of tools or actions you can submit, and because you just don't want to give an assistant or agent too many actions. So now it's a GIF. It's essentially just an image file zooming in on its face. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.